In Edgewonk, you can now add trading checklists to your trades with the latest update. And in this video, I show you how it works. So you see on a chart lab, you have this new area here, checklist performance. And if you have assigned checklists to your trade, you can analyze your checklist and see which criteria perform best, which criteria give you the best win rate, and where's the best performance with your setups. But how do you actually do that? So under settings, you have to go to setups, and you see there's a new column called checklists. But we have to first create a new checklist. And for that, you click here. And you can see I have already entered two checklists here. One is called trend following, one is called reversals. Each checklist has different criteria. You can add new criteria, of course, here. You can then rename them. And here you have a column called required or optional. In a trading checklist, you typically have some items and some criteria that are absolutely mandatory for your trades, and some are optional and nice to have, which you don't need to have on all of your trades. And this is what you can do here with this required and optional setting. You can add, of course, also new checklists here. So let's assume we want to add a new checklist called breakout. We type in the name, click on add, and you can see we have a new checklist here where we can add new items, rename the items, and give them the required or optional checkbox. So once we have done that, we can go back to our setups, and then we can assign the checklist to a specific setup. You can see the trend following setup has the trend following checklist. The reversal setup has the reversal checklist. And since we have created the breakout checklist, we can assign it to the breakout setup here. You can see it pops up here, and now it's assigned. How do we use that? So for that, we go to our journal. And now you see that there's a new column in your Edgewonk journal, which is called setup checklist. So for each setup that has a checklist assigned, you'll see that there is now here something in this column. When we look at the reversal trades that we have here, you can see 5 out of 6 checklist items have been ticked. You can just click on the cell and then see which one we have ticked. You can also make changes here on the fly right away in your journal. And of course, here's the trend following setup, and it also has a checklist as we have seen. And you can make the changes here and add and tick the different criteria that were present during your entry. Once you have done that, we can go to the chart lab, and then this will activate the checklist performance chart. By default, we show you a breakdown over all of your setups, and then we show you the win rate and the return for each checklist. So the blue bar is the win rate and the green bar is the return. So here, for example, we see all mandatory, which means those are trades where all mandatory items on the checklist have been checked. And when we hover over, we can see that when all mandatory items were checked, we have a win rate of 95.24%, and the P&L was 2,958. We have 21 trades, 20 of which are winners and 1 break-even trade. Comparing it when we had at least 1 mandatory item, the win rate is much lower. And then you have your breakdown here. Underneath the graph, you have also a table which summarizes this graph, and it also gives you additional data points such as the profit factor, the total gain, how often you've been following the checklist, and how many trades there are. You can also dive deeper into individual checklists by clicking on this drop down here. So let's bring up the trend following checklist that we have used. And here you can now see the individual items and the individual criteria from the checklist. And you can very nicely compare now all of the different items. Again, you get the win rate and you get the P&L. And underneath in the table, you get an even more detailed breakdown of your performance. With the trading checklist, you can very nicely see which criteria perform best for your trades. You will often also see which items might even not be necessary because they don't contribute to a better performance. And it's just a great way of visualizing how often you've been following your checklists. We've just released this feature, and this is version 1. So in the future, you can expect additional updates. And we would also be very interested in hearing your feedback. So if you have suggestions for the future, let us know in the comments below the video. Happy journaling!